pattern of environmental racism, historical environmental racism, and we're tiptoeing through the tulips on this thing. Why are we doing that? I am an honorably discharged U.S. Army veteran. I am an honorably discharged U.S. Army veteran. We passed the PACT Act so that veterans who live around toxic areas could actually get compensation. I'm not the only Army discharged veteran in this room, Greg Pennington. And we are angry at the way that the U.S. Navy has continued to hide information from this community. I have written numerous articles that show a pattern. We cannot ignore a pattern. In my opinion, I believe that Mr. Pound should be discharged. Mr. Collins should be discharged.
Yes.
How in the world does the EPA not know what's happening in this community? That's a question that I want to know. Can we get that answer? I have a lot of things to say. If we say that truth is important, we have to talk about empirical data and objective facts. And I know a doctor that's sitting in the front row who has spent numerous years studying the citizens of this community and finding heavy metals, radiation, cancers, the empirical data, the evidence is there. And why isn't she up here talking and not me? My name is Malik Washington.
You know, your insights and your feelings about it.
I was going to be able to answer this question.
Ships exposed to atomic weapons, testing, researching the effects of radiation according to the Navy. We're only worth $97 million. That's all we're worth. You know why? Tetra Tech was fined $97 million. And only 2 supervisors from Tetra Tech was held accountable and imprisoned. 2 supervisors. Tetra Tech is a multi-billion-dollar company that is owned by many shareholders, Vanguard, Blackstreet. All of these high entities, those that can even be named or identified, billions, but we're worth $97 million. And I will tell you, the U.S. Navy, this is supposed to be land of the free, the freedom, protection, homeland security. People fight to their death, lose their lives, and here we are, their new guinea pigs, test pigs. I will tell you, in 2020, the Department of Health assured the police department that the building 606 on the radioactive partial E of Harness Point Naval Shipyard was safe. They said it was safe. Unfortunately, 2 officers who worked in that building became ill with brain and thyroid cancer. You got to look at the fact that they're considering a demolition of explosives for that building. And they call it deemed safe for the Navy. I will tell you that even though my time is up, but look at all of these so-called exotic plants out here. It's contaminated soil. It's to place upon.
Be respectful of everyone else.
About this job is that environmental data is inherent.
On building 606. The Navy is also denying that there was an EM10 exceedance in that November period at a upwind air monitor on parcel A1. They're telling you that they're gonna stage an air monitor, but when it detects information they don't like, they're not gonna share it with you. This was an air monitor on A1 where people live and purchase $1 million homes and condos. My belief is that the Navy tried to outrun the statute of limitation for filing federal tort claims. I believe
Dr.
that that's
Henderson, your
why
time
they
is up,
concealed.
please.
Okay, I will be coming back to finish my comments at a later time.
And this can be a challenge, and I think this,
Good evening. Can you hear me? Mr. Dennis Williams, a micro real estate developer. I don't trust the Navy. What compensation for the people do you have? You guys are not in the Bonner and Bonner lawsuit. It is deeply disappointing to see that Mayor Daniel Lurie and his Chief of Staff, Ned Siegel, have shown little interest in preserving San Francisco's Black historical communities in D5 and D10, or in sharing access to their private funding partners with Black-led community-based organizations working for equitable economic development. For years, Baby Hunters Point residents, community organizations, and environmental experts have sounded the alarm that redevelopment has been proceeding on land still dangerously contaminated. Yet large corporate developers, most notably Lenore and its affiliates, including 5 Points and John Stewart's group, continue to control the process, despite documented falsifications of cleanup data and active litigation by Baby residents. Alice Griffin sits on contaminated soil. I researched this as a local micro developer. Their geotechnical engineering analysis reports of out-of-state billionaire development corporation McCormick Baron Salazar, I'm trying to rush. San Francisco Chronicle named them slumlords. The only awareness residents at Alice Griffin were granted were warning signs placed very high upon housing complex walls, signage that reads cancer-causing radiation, birth defects, etc. I choose people over billionaires' profits. As an executive director of the Fillmore Community Development Corporation and the principal of DC Development Company, I am calling for immediate corrective measures and structural reform in the oversight of the Hunters Point Shipyard Candlestick Point project. Out of state, large private developers are being granted control over our projects in San Francisco's most culturally significant historical Black neighborhoods, while local community-based organizations and minority-owned development firms are shut out of joint venture partnerships, even on this project. In D10 alone, multiple billion-dollar redevelopment projects are led by out-of-state billionaire corporations such as Lenore, McCormick Baron Salazar, related California and John Stewart Company. They continue without a single Black development company at the table as a co-developer or equity partner. That is unacceptable. And the community stands firm. This represents a failure of local, state policy to translate inclusion rhetoric into real measurable participation. But I have recommendations. To suspend all new development agreements, RFP awards, and DDA amendments involving contaminated parcels until independent third-party testing and verification of cleanup is completed and released publicly. 2, create a local development capacity fund for pre-development capital and bonding assistance and technical resources. You guys don't have to wake up, guys. Thank you.
That's your time.
That's my time?
That's your time. Thank you.
Y'all don't want to hear the rest. Thank you.
You might be able to come back.
Plutonium 239. Even when
at the lack of accountability, number one. Number two, there's a lot to lose. We have newer residents, we have little kids in this community, and I have my grandkids now. Now I'm a grandmother. This is another generation just going through the same thing. We need for you guys to take it serious. We need more qualified people on that board. We need scientists. We need people with the right educational background that knows the information that they're receiving and to report out to the community on the community's behalf. We don't need anybody that's distracting us, deterring us from speaking our mind and saying what is true and factual for us that have lived it. Thank you very much.
that didn't want to disclose